What's up, guys? ShadowFox4562 here with another top 5 video. Today I'm going to be discussing the top 5 decks in the meta right now. Now, as y'all know, YCS Philly just ended, and or not just ended, but it was last week. And we kind of got a pretty good look with all the regionals and everything that's going on to what this format's going to be post Primal Origins. So I figured I'd just do a top 5 vid of decks that I think are the top 5. But before I do that, I gotta give some honorable mentions. The first honorable mention is Noble Knights. Now, Noble Knights, they were seeing a lot of play before Primal Origins. They're seeing none right now. They're not as good as they were before Primal because, first of all, their support was really bad for them in Primal. Like, let's be honest, the TCG exclusives were ass. The Noble Knights of the Round Table, like, how the fuck am I supposed to use that? It's just, it's so bad. Like, Brothers is decent, but without some serious support, these guys aren't going to see any more play for a while. Next, Brotherhood of the Fire Fist, or just Fire Fist. For a while there, we saw 3.5 Axis Fire Fist doing well, but it's completely fallen off the face of the earth, and that's due to the fact that this meta does not allow you to inherently +1 with slow decks. And I'll explain that later on in the vid because Bujin do the same thing, but Bujins do it way more effectively. But this meta, it has so much destruction that it punishes you for running cards like Bear because it just self-replenishes Fire Hand, Ice Hand. You know, it's not as good of a deck as it used to be. Next is going to be YuGiOh. YuGiOh, we saw a lot of play in YCS Philly. And towards like round 5 or 6, it got completely annihilated by Bujin and by Artifacts. This deck is just not good enough right now to compete at the highest of levels. I understand it's got a couple regionals tops, but it is nowhere close to the 5 decks that we are going to be covering today. Next deck is Lightsworn. Lightsworn will be good when all its support comes out. It is not amazing right now. Yes, you can drop a lot of boss monsters, and yes, but it's just not, it's not there yet. And honestly, once all the support comes out, I think it has the potential to win nationals. I really do, guys. Just because of how fast it'll be and how many options you have and how many boss monsters you can drop. But for right now, Lightsworn isn't gonna cut it. Next is Harpies. Harpies saw a drastic drop off in play for regionals and for YCSs after Primal Origins, basically because they're just outclassed. I mean, if you look at all the rank 7 decks and all the decks that are being played right now, I mean, what the hell are Harpies going to do against Artifacts? What are they going to do against Madolche? What are they going to do against Sylvan, Bujin? You know, these decks have answers. They got more support. Harpy just kind of stayed the same and didn't really do anything. So that's kind of why Harpies kind of fell out. And the last deck, I actually don't have a card to show you for this, is Mermails. Mermails have fallen off to some extent. They had a top 32 at YCS Philly. They haven't had a top at regionals to my knowledge since, due to the overwhelming play of Bujin and Madolche and Artifacts. But anyway, guys, time to get to the top 5. Alright, now that all that's out of the way. Number 5 on my list, I have Dragon Rulers or Mythic Rulers. This saw some decent play in YCS Philly. It's seen some decent play in regionals, and it nabbed a top 32 spot, which is, or a top 16 spot, I think, which is enough to warrant it to be one of the top 5 decks. I mean, it has access to Skill Drain. It has access to one of the best monsters, Exceed monsters in the game in Felgra and Knight. It's a really good deck, and I feel as if it still has something that can improve this format. We just need to see more people play it in order to do it. Number 4 is going to be Bujin. Bujin is one of those decks that if you keep your Beast Warrior monster on the field, you are going to win. If it's not, like, it's basically a one monster deck. Like, it's really good at what it does. And going back to what I was saying about Fire Fist and why Fire Fist has fallen out of popularity but Bujin remain, is because there's so many ways to get back your Bujins, and +1 off your opponent. Like, I guess if you think about it this way, okay, your opponent plays Compulse on your Yamato, right? Or your Mikazuchi, okay? You can use your turtle, which is already dead and does not count towards your plus or minus pool, to negate Compulse, so you automatically +1. Plus it makes Bujin Carnation live. Plus your monster stays on the field. And even if they get over your monster and they get past your Hares and Cranes and Honests, you can just drop Mikazuchi. Or you can drop Hirame. It's a much better option than having one Wolfbark right now. And that's why Bujin is definitely number 4. Number 3 is Sylvan. The only reason I put Sylvan above everything else, so far at number 3, I understand that it hasn't had as many tops as Bujin's. I understand that it didn't get as far, but to be quite honest, guys, it has the best matchups right now against a lot of the meta. This deck can main Mistake. Once it gets out its monsters, it can flip over Vanity's Emptiness. I mean, it's not affected by Lightning Imprisoning Mirror, so it can side that, and that's something that we can't say for Artifacts and Bujin. I mean, it's a very good deck, and I just feel as if it has a lot of outs. It has the most outs to every single matchup, but it is definitely not the most consistent of decks, and it doesn't have the most destruction of the decks, and that's why I can only rank it at number 3. Number 2, I'm putting Madolche. Madolche finally got its last piece it needed in Angeli. And, I mean, this deck has exploded in popularity and tournament success. This deck is, I mean, it's a monster. Once you get out Tiramisu, you crap yourself, guys. I mean, it's crazy how much this one card has helped this deck. I mean, the guy who was running it got first at YCS. They topped at other regionals. I think they won a regionals. So that's why I put it number 2. Now, number 1 is Artifacts. The reason why I put Artifacts above Madolche is even though Madolche did win YCS Philly, because it didn't really. Just because they go to that crappy draft now with the Battle Pack. The reason I put it above it is because it has had more success than Madolche. It has had more tops. It has had more wins. And honestly, it's a better deck. I look at this deck and I only see its real weakness being Light Imprisoning Mirror, guys. Or Vanity's Emptiness. Like, those are the only 2 cards that I see that can really hurt this deck. So outside of that, I mean, it's very solid. The fact that you're allowed to just basically take your turn on your opponent's turn is just dumb. The fact that they have an instant exceed play is dumb. And I think we should look towards something in this deck getting hit on the next ban list, along with a lot of these decks. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I could make an argument for almost every single deck that is in the meta right now, even irrelevant decks, to get hit in the next ban list, but I will make that in another video. Tell me what you thought, guys. Comment, like, subscribe. If you did not agree with this, please leave me your thoughts. Remember, this is my opinion. It's somewhat opinion-based, but it's more fact-based just because of, like, just looking at the regionals and stuff. But yeah, like I said, comment, like, subscribe, and I will talk to you later, guys. Peace.